I'm so glad I'm finally done with Daredevil. Like, amazing show, don't get me wrong, but it was very time consuming and super long. So, yeah, it took a long time to get through it, but now that the Born Again review is out, I can finally move on from it for the time being, and I don't have to do any long catch-up binge watches ever again for that. Because when Season 2 comes out, all I gotta do is rewatch Season 1 of Born Again, and I'll be good. Alright, now we can move on to another show that I've wanted to scratch off the review list for a while now. One that I was supposed to review way back, 1 or 2 months ago. But, again, because of circumstances, I was unable to do it. But we're finally going to do it now. And this is a show that I've been very excited to watch from start to finish. So, yeah, let's go through it season by season just like we did with Daredevil, because this is another one of those that has episodes that are 30 to 50 minutes long apiece. Yeah, another 8-9 hour sit. But this one's a little better than Daredevil because it's not as long-winded. That being said, though, there's still a bit to talk about with this show. So, let's get through this first season, and then we'll cover the other two another time. This will be the last video of today because I'm getting a sore throat. What's up? What's happening? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Station. We're searching for anything animation, including TV and movies. I'm your host, Justin Small. Welcome to my review of one of Amazon Prime's biggest hits of the past decade, Reacher, based on the Killing Floor books and the character of the same name. Now, I'm going to be frank with you guys. It took me a while to get into this show because, well, for one, I'm one of those people that will always, this is just for example, I will always treasure physical media over streaming. That's just the way I am. I mean, if I don't have a choice, I will do streaming, but if a physical copy is available, that's what I do. So because of that, I didn't really have a ton of interest in watching this show, not to mention I have watched so many crime shows that it would literally make your head spin. You know, Criminal Minds, Forensic Files, NCIS, all of the above. Law and Order, all of them. I've seen so many crime shows that I've literally lost track. Bones is technically one, I think. So, yeah, needless to say, I was kind of having burnout from crime shows, and I wanted to watch something different for a change. However, every now and then when I'm hanging out with my mom, she would be watching this show, and I saw bits and pieces of Season 2, and I was intrigued by it. I wasn't over the moon about it, but I was intrigued. Not just because of Alan Ritchson, even though he's a big reason for why. He is amazing as this character, and I hope and pray he gets to be Batman. But because a lot of it just seemed different than your normal cop show. Because, for one, Reacher's not a cop. Well, technically not in this season, not a cop, but Season 2 will answer more questions. But also because it is a very slow detective story. You will get some action here and there, you do get fights, you do get blood, you do get a body count. However, it's one of those shows that focuses more on the mystery and the investigation of the mystery, rather than being an upfront action show. And that intrigues me because that is not something that's seen very often, especially in modern television. So, because of that, I was intrigued by it. And then I put it in to watch this entire series and review it a month or two ago. Season by season, just like we did with Daredevil. And not to mention, unlike Daredevil, it's only 3 seasons. 3 seasons of 8 episodes instead of 3 seasons of 13 and 1 episode of 8 or 9. So, it would have been a lot easier sit. But, again, as always, circumstances kept getting in the way, and I was unable to do those reviews for a while. So, I said to myself last night, screw it. As soon as I was done watching Daredevil Born Again and putting out my written review on Facebook, I immediately jumped into Reacher. and it took me until 3 in the morning to finish it. Do I regret it? A little, but it's not because of the show itself, it was more because of my bad timing. So, yep, now we're finally going to talk about this show and why I think it is great. However, unlike Daredevil, I'm going to try to keep these ones spoiler-free because this is a somewhat newer show, so I want to not spoil anyone's experience for those who haven't watched it. But I do recommend you watch it. This show's freaking great. At least from this first season, I can tell it's great. So, with all that out of the way, here's my review for Season 1 only, gotta make that clear, Season 1 only, of Amazon Prime Video's Reacher. Time to catch up on another show I've wanted to review for a while now, after watching bits and pieces with my mom last year, every now and then. So, this will be my very first time watching each season from start to finish. Reacher Season 1 is an awesome piece of crime thriller television. Great acting, especially Alan Richardson, who is phenomenal as Jack Reacher. And for those of you that don't know, he's also Raphael in the Michael Bay Turtles movies. Intriguing story with a satisfying payoff. Fascinating characters, brutal action with plenty of blood. Like, there's not a ton of, super visceral gore or anything, but there is a lot of blood. Hilarious, snarky, dark humor, fantastic pacing, sharp adult writing, many twists and turns, high rewatchability, and some very impressive cinematography. That is all the things that this show gets right, and it gets right everything that it needs to get right. The acting is great. I had a great attachment to pretty much every character introduced because of how well done each performance is, from the side characters to the main players to even background characters, all do a great job acting. The story is intriguing because, again, it's a slow burn mystery detective story more so than it is a straight up action show. And that's always really nice to see, and I do think that they did a great job doing that, with a satisfying payoff at the end. Seriously, the final episode of this show, Pi, yeah, high note to end on. It's great. Fascinating characters. I actually really like these characters. They did a really good job here at making these characters three-dimensional, worth caring about, and well performed. The action is brutal. It is really well done. I love the action in this show. It is visceral. It has that grit, but it's not over the top like people getting their arms ripped off or stuff like that. The dark humor is hilarious. Whether it's a line coming out of Reacher's mouth for being a smartass, or the retorts from the other people he's interacting with, or just characters bouncing off one another. The dark humor in this show is snarky, and it is very hilarious. The pacing's fantastic, slow burn, done well. The writing, it is very adult. It is adult, it is down to earth, nothing about it feels that dramatized. There is many twists and turns in the story, but at the same time, if you've seen shows like this, you may or may not be able to predict a few things. And I really love the cinematography. They play around with the camera, they do some cool tricks, and even if they had to implement some CGI fire, it's still done in a way where it's not egregious. It's noticeable that it's CGI, but it's not makes you want to cringe CGI. So, if I have all this positive stuff to say, well, are there any problems? Only one. This is its one and only problem. And that is that the villains are as run-of-the-mill as they come. The villains in this show suck. They are as generic, cookie-cutter, and cliche as you could possibly imagine. I get that they're supposed to be hateable, but at the same time, it's you could have done so much more than this. Just saying, you could have done more. But, since that's a common issue with most crime shows that I've seen, it is entirely understandable. Even the best ones with NCIS, CSI, Criminal Minds, a lot of the villains and antagonists in those shows, they are very run-of-the-mill. Like, most of the things that attract the people to those shows are the writing and the main cast. So, I'm not going to be super harsh on it here, but just be aware that by the time you're done watching the show, you will not remember these villains at all. Not to mention, this is only the first season of the series, and it has to both establish the main elements while simultaneously telling its own solid, complete story. So I won't be too hard on it. Overall, though, it is pretty clear to see why this has become one of Prime Video's biggest hits of this current decade, and it's only got me even more excited to see how it continues into Seasons 2 and 3, especially because of the bits and pieces that I've seen of Season 2 while I was watching it with my mom, which were, pretty intense, including the season finale. Yeah, I kind of spoiled myself, but I haven't watched the show in a while, so maybe it'll feel like a new experience to me regardless. It's a very strong start, is what I'm saying. It's a great season. I can understand why it became such a big hit for Amazon, and why it is still one of the most popular shows on their service. It's more than just a generic, typical police show. It is a genuinely awesome, badass, and incredibly investing piece of crime thriller television with some great characters and fantastic writing. So, with all that said, let's get now down to my final verdict for this first season. My final verdict for Season 1 of Amazon Prime's original series known as Reacher, based on the Killing Floor book of this featuring the same character, is an 8.5 out of 10. I can't give it a 9 because of the villains being so run-of-the-mill and boring, but everything else about this show is fantastic. Like, even if you're someone that's not a big fan of crime shows, I can highly recommend this one, because it has enough writing, character, and hilarious humor that I think you will still have a great time with it. Yes, it is a very time-consuming watch, because it is 8 or 9 hours, but trust me when I say, it's worth it. Just make sure that it doesn't take you until 3 in the morning to do it, like I did, or you're going to end up miserable the next day. Just a fair piece of advice, don't do that. Okay, that's it. That's all I've got for Season 1 of Amazon's Reacher. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this almost every single day. Please let me know what you think of this review or what I've just reviewed in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your feedback and stories. And I will see you in the next review when we tackle Season 2 of Reacher. Will it be better? Will it be a downgrade? Only one way to find out. See you in the next review. Take care. Excited for what comes up ahead. Hey,